almost just fell out of my chair. Your phone is not muted, so that's always a good thing. Patrick Mahomes is not lost to the Denver Broncos. I am so fucking amped right now. I think this is going to be the first time. 2-11-6, and their first NFC North title since there's definitely been crazier. I want to say 96 or 93 was the last time the Lions won their division. The Detroit Lions on Thursday night beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Who is throbbing cock? I'm feeling very good. I'm dreaming.
Oh,
Full thing.
Same thing that happened the last time.
Go dogs,
Go Dogs! What's up, dog? Hello, everybody. Welcome back. To everyone that's in here right now. Hi, how's it going? Thank you for watching. This is going to be the last stream regarding the 2023-2024 NFL season. It has been a long journey. We have grown so much from the very first stream we did almost a year ago. So very I don't know, I'm not emotional, but it's crazy that I have kept up with this for this long. I'm proud of myself for doing that. So yes, go me. But today we're going to be revealing my final power rankings of the 2023-24 season. Every single game has been played. The season is over. We are now in the off season, and I'm going to tell you exactly where each team stood. Now, I think while I do this, I'm going to pull up my preseason rankings just and see what we looked at these on stream, I believe, last week. But I'm just so curious now that it's finally over what I got right. And I'm fumbling so bad. So okay. I'm literally just scrolling through my Instagram right now. All right, here we go. All right. Yes, new fit. Thank you, Holly. I got this awesome shirt. It's a lock. I've been telling Holly this, but it's so funny that us Lions fans celebrate the smallest things. First division title in 30 plus years. Other teams have won plenty up to that point, but hey, it's something to brag about, okay? It's something to be proud of. But without further ado, let's just head straight into these power rankings. So here we go. Here's the setup. And starting off at 32nd, it's pretty obvious who's 32nd. The Carolina Panthers, they had 2 wins to their name. They were just awful. They're easily the worst team in the league. Preseason, I had them ranked 20th, which doesn't seem very high, but obviously that was way too high to have the Carolina Panthers. Let's see if I can get there we go. Get the little Lions in frame. But yeah, definitely 32nd. I was pretty off there, but it's all right. Moving on to 31st, the New England Patriots. Never would I have thought that I would be ranking the Patriots as the worst AFC team, but this season they clearly were the worst AFC team. Were they necessarily 31st? I think so. You could argue that some of the teams above them were a little bit worse, but the Patriots, they are in dire need of a quarterback. Their offense was atrocious this season. They had, I think, Matt Judon got hurt. I could be completely wrong. I don't pay enough attention. But yeah, overall, very disappointing season. I was an advocate saying that I thought the Patriots were better than what they were. Let me record this actually. I'm thinking about it. But yeah, so Carolina Panthers, easily 32nd, easily the worst team in the league. The New England Patriots, the worst team in the AFC. Never would I have thought I'd have to say that. They are just so terrible at the quarterback position, which is the important position to be good at if you want to win football games. So, yeah, they move on from Bill Belichick. Interesting to see what happens to them next season. I was a huge advocate for them being better than most people thought, but they had a brutal schedule, and they lived up to what most people expected. So, sorry, Patriots fans. This is probably the lowest you guys will ever be, but there you go. 30th, the Washington Commanders. Many people think that the Patriots are worse than the Commanders. I honestly, I can believe it, but the Commanders did beat them in New England, so I'm factoring that into the occasion. That was the last win of the season for the Commanders. Their defense was just playing out awful. Sam Howell, I think he's an okay quarterback, but he's not an elite talent at all. I think Eric Bieniemy did the most he could out of Sam Howell, and I think that's the most we're probably going to see out of him. They're probably going to go quarterback. They are redoing that whole front office. They're going to be an interesting team to watch next season. There's a lot of holes to fill defensively, though, and they're probably going to draft a quarterback in the first round of the NFL draft. So we'll see what happens to them. But so preseason, the New England Patriots I had ranked 22nd. So again, a little bit of ways off. Same thing with the Commanders. I had them ranked 23rd, right below them. So I did have them both next to each other. Really, all three of these teams close together, just a tad bit higher, a tier higher than they're supposed to be. Moving on to 29th, the New York Jets. I might get Lions should be 3. What's up? What's up? God is love. Dude, I'm a big optimist when it comes to the Lions, man. We'll get into them later, but I do have them pretty high. I don't have them at 3, but I appreciate it. Look, the fact that we can even be considered a top 3 team in the NFL after the season is over is beyond me. I never thought that would actually ever happen. But 29th, I have the New York Jets. Thank you for coming in, by the way. I appreciate it. But 29th, the New York Jets. Look, Aaron Rodgers got hurt. We all know the story. They had a couple good wins early in the season. They beat the Eagles. Should have beaten the Chiefs. They did, and then they beat some other bad teams. But towards the tail end of the season, they were just god awful. They got getting shut out by the Miami Dolphins. I know they didn't have. Eventually, they benched Zach Wilson. Then Zach Wilson gets hurt, and then it was just terrible. They did close out the season with the win against the New England Patriots, so good for them. But honestly, I know they won 7 games, but they're not a very good team in the NFL. This is going to be embarrassing because I had them ranked 9th before the season started. Granted, that was with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, so I don't blame myself that much for that one, but still, I predicted them to go to the Super Bowl, and that most likely, no, that wouldn't have happened either way. I made a video on it. But anyways, 28th, the Los Angeles Chargers. Again, a team that they weren't winning many games to begin with when Justin Herbert was healthy. Brandon Staley just did a terrible job. He did such a bad job of coaching this team. There are so many star players, so many high-priced free agents on this team. There's no reason that they should be a 5-win team, but they were. Obviously, Justin Herbert got hurt, but Easton Stick really wasn't that bad. I think they would have lost most of these games with Justin Herbert at quarterback as well. So, yeah, 28th, the Los Angeles Chargers. Really nothing to come from that. 27th. Now, this is a little bit of a hot take, but I think it's warranted considering how this franchise is treating Russell Wilson. Now, apparently, there's reports that they might look to actually end up reworking his contract, but what they did was completely disrespectful. Nonetheless, I think once they benched him, this is considering Jarrett Stidham as quarterback. He didn't do terrible. They did win a few games, but the Broncos were a top 10 team at one point in the year as far as these power rankings go, and now they find themselves close to the bottom because I think without Russell Wilson, they're just not a very good team. And, they didn't end the season that impressively either. 26th, the Tennessee Titans, a team that did end the season impressively, beating the Jacksonville Jaguars, upsetting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Insane. Good job on them, pretty much knocking the Jaguars out of playoff contention, which is very impressive. A lot of these upcoming teams did that. Oh, I forgot to do. Oh, okay. So the Chargers, I had 8th preseason. Not too good. The Denver Broncos, I had 14th. So I'm missing on a lot of these. I will admit, I'm missing on a lot of these. Tennessee Titans, though, I had 27th, and they're ending the season 26th. So I'll give myself one. I've gotten one right. But Tennessee Titans, obviously nothing much came from this season. They weren't very good on either side of the ball. They're pretty much a below average team. Now they just fired Mike Vrabel. Will Levis will probably be the quarterback, but I don't know. There's really not much you can say about the Tennessee Titans as they're a very below average team, and they've been like that the whole season. But good job beating the Jacksonville Jaguars. 25th, here's Jack. You're not watching, Mom. You're not watching, but this is where I have the New York Giants. The I will say this. They are a very underrated team. Offense was atrocious to begin the year, largely because of how that offensive line just crumbled. But the defense its numbers don't speak for them, but the defense, just because they're on the field for a long time, but the defense was actually really good for this Giants team. And they came up with a couple of really good wins towards the end of the season. A blowout win against the Philadelphia Eagles, which everybody was doing at that point in the season. And they had some good. They had a close game against the Los Angeles Rams, so it's tough. But I have the Giants ranked 25th. You could make the argument they could be higher or lower. Doesn't really matter. But I think this team's better than most people would think initially. So 25th is where they go. I mean, that's super if the fact I'm considering that generous, and they're ranked 25th, bottom 8 of the league. It's funny. Preseason, I had them ranked 16th. Another one I missed on. I fell into the brainwashing of Jack and my mom. But just kidding, guys. I'm kidding. I willingly did that. Yeah, the Giants, they had a tough schedule, but I don't think many people predicted the fall apart that they actually had. Moving on to 24th, I have the Arizona Cardinals. This team, they only won 4 games, okay? I get it. They only won 4 games. But look, man, preseason I had them ranked 32nd, and towards the end of the season, they really started coming around. They destroyed the Pittsburgh Steelers. They kept it close against Seattle. They beat the Philadelphia Eagles on the road, coming back from being like 15 points down at half. Kudos to them. I think they are a much better team than it looks like they are on paper. I'm excited for them next season. Hopefully they can start getting some good draft picks and start putting a decent team together again, because they built so much up. Then J.J. Watt retired. They kind of fell short in the playoffs. Everything kind of went wrong for the Cardinals this season. But I think they impressed despite that. So 24th, they go. 23rd. All right, I'm going to get some heat for this. All right. Funny enough, Cardinals were 32nd. Colts were 31st in my preseason power rankings. But the Colts are one of the most overrated teams in the NFL. I know they won 9 games, but a lot of those games weren't really against good teams. I know they beat the Ravens in week 3. That was like I think it was week 3. It was week 3, guys. Come on. I think the defense wasn't that great. The offense really wasn't stellar towards the end of the year. They kept close games against teams like the Patriots, the Panthers. They got blown out by the Atlanta Falcons. They got blown out by the Saints at home. They had 2 close games against the Tennessee Titans. I just don't think this team is really that good. And I think plenty of the teams above them truly are better than the Colts. So I keep them at 23. A lot of people don't like that because they had a winning record. I'm sorry. The Colts are not that good. 23rd they go. 22nd, the Atlanta Falcons, the team that blew out the Indianapolis Colts, and they also lost to the Panthers, but I get it. But I'm sorry, Falcons fans. I was pretty consistently right about the Falcons the whole season. I had them 26th preseason. I'll give myself that. That's only like 4 spots away. I predicted their record being 7-10. It was 7-10 again. You guys, they're just they're not good. They need a quarterback and they need a new head coach, and they got one of those. They just need. I'm interested to see what the Falcons do this offseason, but they are in desperate need of a good quarterback if they even want to come close to being in the top half of the league. Anyways, 21st, the Las Vegas Raiders, a very confusing team. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. They did beat the Kansas City Chiefs this year. They were the last team to do so. They have plenty of good wins under their belt. Antonio Pierce seems like he's going to be a good head coach. They had a great defense, but offense was a little shaky. I don't think Aiden O'Connell is the answer for the future. I think they might look to other options in the NFL draft, but who knows? They might look to tackle other pieces, other holes on this team. But overall, just a below average team, I think. They weren't the worst team in the league by any means, but they weren't certainly not a playoff caliber team. 21st, go the Las Vegas Raiders. 20th, another one. I'm gonna warn y'all in advance for the few people watching. You guys are not gonna like these. There's some controversial takes in here, man. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, they end the season 20th. Look, I think it's pretty evident that Trevor Lawrence was playing hurt, and they were not the same team when Trevor Lawrence was playing hurt. They lost pretty much all those games. They won, one against the Carolina Panthers, and Trevor Lawrence didn't play. So I don't think they should have been starting Trevor Lawrence after he went down in the Cincinnati game. But which they were going up against the backup quarterback in that game, and they probably still would have lost they probably still would have lost with Trevor Lawrence. So this team, they got blown out by the Buccaneers. They lost to the Tennessee Titans with the playoffs on the line. This team is not good. They had that loss against Cincinnati. They didn't look. They're a good team, okay, but they did not end the season at their best. I think this team has potential to be very good, but huge disappointment from this season. I forgot to do my preseason rankings. So for Raiders, I had 24th preseason. I think I'll give myself that. Jaguars, I had 12th. I'll count that as a miss. I thought the Jaguars were going to be a much better team. Definitely a double-digit win team, but they definitely fell short of that. Moving on to 19th, I have the Cincinnati Bengals, another winning record team. I think this is a fair spot for them. They obviously weren't what they were with Joe Burrow, but, hey, they struggled in the beginning of the season with Joe Burrow. He went down. Jake Browning comes in. He puts on a good show for the Cincinnati Bengals, one of the best backup quarterbacks we've seen this year. And they mustered up 9 wins. They had some good wins against some good teams, kept it close against Kansas City. They did beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. I can't remember. I think they blew out the Colts, I'm pretty sure. So I think 19th is a very fair spot for the Cincinnati Bengals. Preseason, I had them 3rd. Granted, that was with Joe Burrow, but again, I don't know if that would have made that big of a difference. So I'm sorry, guys. That one's got to be a miss for me. So there we go. All right, 18th, the Minnesota Vikings. This is one of the most unfairly hated teams, man. The Minnesota Vikings are actually not that bad of a team. They are one of the most underrated teams, although what happens next season depends largely on if they re-sign Kirk Cousins, which I think they might try to do. But if you do that, then are you going to be able to afford Justin Jefferson in a few years? I don't know. But if you look at the Vikings schedule, they kept close games against us, Detroit. And look, that's impressive this season. I can't believe it, but that's actually an impressive thing to do this season. Is keep games close against the Detroit Lions. So good job on the Minnesota Vikings for doing that. They got blown out by the Packers. Yeah, whatever. They lost to the Cincinnati Bengals in overtime. They beat the Atlanta Falcons, beat the New Orleans Saints. They have some decent wins under their belt. Are they a very good team? No. Are they in the top half of the league? No. But are they? I don't think they're like a bottom 8 team in the NFL. Certainly not. I think this team, and Brian Flores had that defense balling too, man. This defense was really good. It was really frustrating to play against this team and Justin Jefferson and Nick Mullins. If he could learn to stop throwing 4 interceptions in a game, they probably would have won more games, but they didn't. So 18th is where the Minnesota Vikings go. 17th. All right. People are either going to love this or they're going to hate this, but I have the Philadelphia Eagles in the bottom half of the league. They started out 10-1, guys. They started out 10-1, and I have them ranked 17th. They went 11-6 and got blown out by the Buccaneers in the playoffs. I think there could be arguments made that they should be lower. They lost to the Arizona Cardinals. They got killed by the New York Giants. They had 2 close games against the Washington Commanders. I think there's plenty of reason to put them even lower than this, but I won't get ahead of myself. They ended the season very poorly, losing to some bad teams and getting blown out by some good ones. I'm not convinced that, for example, I'll move on. Preseason, though, I had the Minnesota Vikings I had at 17th, so I'll give myself that one. I was pretty accurate with that pick. And the Philadelphia Eagles I had as 1, so I will not give myself that one. I was way off there. They were definitely not the best team in the league. But the team above them, the Chicago Bears, I have them in the top half of the league. Look, this team, they started out the season terribly. They were so bad in the beginning of the season. Justin Fields was terrible. They were clearly moving on at the quarterback position. But I don't know what happened. It might have been the game against the Detroit Lions. But all of a sudden, Justin Fields looks like a brand new quarterback. You got people chanting at games, "We want Fields." Then on top of that, the Chicago Bears are winning games. They were beating the Atlanta Falcons. They were beating the Detroit Lions. They were beating the Arizona Cardinals. They beat the Minnesota Vikings on the road. So I think, they lost to the Packers at the end of the season. That's just a tradition at this point. But I'm fully convinced that that Chicago Bears team would beat the Philadelphia Eagles. I am fully convinced of that. Preseason, I had the Bears at 25th. Now I have them at 16th. I'll say that's a miss. I think the Bears exceeded my expectations this season, and they, believe it or not, are in the top half of the league. Moving on to 15th, it's another team that I think gets a lot of hate for no reason. Yeah, they played some pretty poor games, especially late in the season against the Tennessee Titans and the Arizona Cardinals, but they played some tough games too. They beat the Philadelphia Eagles. They played a tough game against Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. They had a thriller against the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday Night Football earlier this year. This team was pretty good. Now, don't get me wrong, they weren't a great team, but I'd consider them above average team. I think the Seattle Seahawks get unfairly hated. Devon Witherspoon was great. The defense was okay. Geno Smith definitely took a step back, but Kenneth Walker was amazing on my fantasy team, and you got plenty of good receivers on that team. The Seattle Seahawks are an underrated team, to say the least. I have them at 15th to end the season. They ended the season with a 9-8 record. Preseason, though, I had them 7th, and again, I'll give that a miss. Yeah, I was definitely off there. 14th, however, the New Orleans Saints, another one people might dislike because it's weird seeing the Saints this high, but they did put together a few good wins, especially towards the end of the season. A great statement win against the Atlanta Falcons, the division rival. I'm fully convinced they would have beaten the Philadelphia Eagles as well. They did beat the Chicago Bears. They beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road to keep their division hopes alive. The Saints did everything they needed to do towards the end of the season to win that division. It's just that the Buccaneers got to play the Carolina Panthers, and they almost lost. They almost did lose that game. So, but I'm keeping the New Orleans Saints at 14th. Offense really wasn't that bad, especially with Alvin Kamara on the field. They're above average team. There you go. 13th, we're now getting into some more of our playoff teams. 13th, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they impressed me. Mason Rudolph impressed me this season. He got his opportunity, and he sure did take it. I thought they were going to get blown out in that playoff game against the Buffalo Bills. They didn't. It wasn't that close, but it's exactly what you would have expected from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Defense is great with TJ Watt, especially on the field, but there's plenty of bright spots in this young team. I guess not all of it's young, but I think, I don't know what's to come of next season, but they're definitely, they'll probably have a winning record again because Mike Tomlin's coming back. 12th, okay, this one people aren't going to like, but these are, we're starting to get into the playoff teams. There are a lot of teams before the playoffs that exceeded expectations. The Cleveland Browns, they were so good. I was so high on them. They beat the Baltimore Ravens. I thought they were one of the better teams in the NFL. And then they got absolutely embarrassed by the Houston Texans, bringing me back to earth how this team is good, but they aren't elite by any means. They aren't elite. They're more on par with the Pittsburgh Steelers, with the New Orleans Saints, with the Seattle Seahawks, with the Chicago Bears even. The Bears should have really beaten the Browns too if they, whoever that was, should have caught that Hail Mary. We all know which one I'm talking about. But, kind of insane. Oh, yeah, I forgot to do my – so preseason, New Orleans Saints, I had 21st. Pittsburgh Steelers, I had 15th. So I'll give myself the Steelers. I won't give myself the Saints. Browns, I had them at 12. I had them at 18. I won't give myself either. I think the Browns definitely exceeded expectations this season. Moving on to 11th. Another one. This is another one that might get some hate. The Houston Texans. They had a great game in the playoffs against the Cleveland Browns. They got blown out by the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs. I think this team it's good. It's a great team. CJ Stroud is playing wonderful, but I don't consider them better than most of the teams above them in this list. So here are my top 10 teams of the 2023 NFL season. At number 10, I have the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins offense was outstanding nearly all year. They disappeared in the playoffs. Look, it was fucking freezing, okay? I don't blame them either. These are Miami boys. They cannot handle Kansas City weather well. Despite that, Tyreek Hill had an amazing season. So did Raheem Mostert. Tua had a good season. This team is in safe hands with Mike McDaniel, right? Defensively, there's a few concerns. When Jalen Ramsey came in towards the end of the season, the defense, I feel like, did start coming around a little bit. But overall, they lost some very key, important games against the Kansas City Chiefs and against the Buffalo Bills. They really should have won this division. Somehow they choked the game against the Tennessee Titans. But with Tyreek Hill on the field, this team is definitely a top 10 team to end the season. So 10th, I have the Miami Dolphins. 9th, I have the Dallas Cowboys, a team many people considered top 5 throughout the whole year. Oh yeah, Miami, I had them 11th preseason. Texans, I had them like 30th. I got that one wrong. Miami, I got right. Dallas, I had them 10th preseason. I have them 9th now. I'll give myself that. The Cowboys, of course, disappointing everybody in the playoffs as per usual. It's a season tradition at this point. But in the regular season, they were good. Offense was top 5. Defense was top 5. Great season from the Dallas Cowboys. Couldn't finish it, though. They lost in tremendous fashion against the Green Bay Packers, so I got to put them at 9th. I can't put teams like the Green Bay Packers above or below the Dallas Cowboys, the team that they blew out in the playoffs. The Green Bay Packers, they really could have been they could have easily been in the Super Bowl. I can't lie to you. Jordan Love is playing amazingly. Definitely towards the end of the season. They had a little hiccup against the Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers, but got things going again against the Minnesota Vikings. A great defense to get things going against, and Chicago Bears. And they absolutely wiped the floor with the Dallas Cowboys. Unbelievable what they did. First ever 7th seed to be a 2 seed in the playoffs. Insane. Gotta love it from the Green Bay Packers. They came so close to beating the San Francisco 49ers. And if they met with the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game, who knows what could have happened. This is definitely a top 8 team in the playoffs. Moving on to 7th, I have this one. It's going to get a lot of hate. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're an up and down team pretty much all season. Definitely in the first half of the year, they were not even close to a top 10 team. But as the season progressed, as they were playing teams like the Atlanta Falcons, Baker Mayfield had a perfect game at Lambeau Field. They had a great end to their season. Now, I know Baker got a little bit banged up against the New Orleans Saints. They had a close game against the Carolina Panthers, but in the playoffs, they truly showed out. They showed how much they improved really from the beginning of the season by absolutely blowing out the Philadelphia Eagles. This game was not close. And hey, they kept it close in Detroit for a very, very long time. Great playoff game that was. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a severely underrated team. They need to re-sign Baker Mayfield this offseason. But they have a lot of free agents to re-sign, including Mike Evans, star wide receiver. So who knows what's going to happen this offseason. But 7th is where I put the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm convinced they would have beaten the Dallas Cowboys as well in the playoffs. 6th, I have the Los Angeles Rams. This is a kind of hot take. It's not really a hot take, but it's been one I've been rocking with pretty much all season. Buccaneers were ranked 29th in my preseason one, so I got that one completely wrong. Packers were ranked 19th. I had that one completely wrong. Rams, I had 28th. So a few bottom 8 teams I had are now having the top 10. It's fine. But Los Angeles Rams, they were one of the few teams to be able to compete with the Baltimore Ravens towards the end of the season. They had a close game against the New York Giants. Yeah, sure. I think this team's actually really good. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, and Kyren Williams, and all 4 of those players are on the field. They're averaging like close to 400 yards a game. It's insane how good that offense is when it's up and running at full steam. Close game against us, the Detroit Lions, in the playoffs. Really could have gone either way in that one. They could have, again, that's another team that could have been a Super Bowl team that wasn't. So I think the Los Angeles Rams are severely underrated. They're easily a top 10 team, and I think they are just outside of the top 5. But at number 5, I have my Detroit Lions. Never would I have thought, guys. Never would I have thought that I would be seriously ranking the Lions in the top 5 of the NFL. I just never thought that was actually a thing that would happen, but we should have beaten the 49ers, guys. I will never let that game go. I will never let that game go. Hi, Jack. How's it going? Thanks for hopping in. But I will never let that game go. It haunts me to this day. I'm kind of glad the Chiefs won the Super Bowl then, so we can't say, though, we would have won the Super Bowl. But holy shit, man. What an outstanding season. I am so happy. Holly got me this 6 shirt. So, yeah, we repping it. But absolutely great season. Definitely a top 5 team, the way that they kept it so close against the 49ers. A lot of teams can't do that. So, and they beat the Chiefs this season. I mean, we beat the Super Bowl champions. It's fine. Moving on to number 4th, however, I had the Buffalo Bills. A team that started off the season not too great. They were 6-6, won their last 5 games. Josh Allen was doing Josh Allen things. He was being very dominant. There's some shakiness on both sides of the ball, but the team overcame it and beat the Miami Dolphins in Miami to close out the regular season and secure yet another AFC East title. Great job by I just went the wrong way. Buffalo Bills. There we go. There's the Bills. But yeah. Another good season by the Buffalo Bills. Came up short against the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, as per usual. But yeah, it's a good season. I don't think they're top 3. I wouldn't consider them top 3. They looked a little bit shaky against the Pittsburgh Steelers, although they did play a great game against the Kansas City Chiefs, eventual Super Bowl champions. But moving on to my top 3 teams. Oh yeah, Lions, I had them 13th. Buffalo Bills, I had them 4th. I'll give myself the Bills. I think the Lions exceeded my expectations as well, although I'm a very optimist fan or pessimist. I don't fucking know. But anyways, 3rd, the San Francisco 49ers, the NFC representative of the Super Bowl. They came really close to winning that game. Good job on them for another outstanding season. Unfortunately, though, I'm sure 49ers fans are sick of getting into these high-stake games every year and still not having a championship to show for it. I think they'll get there eventually with Kyle Shanahan. It'll happen eventually, but holy good job on Brock Purdy for getting them there in the first place, coming back against the Detroit Lions. This team is definitely top 3 in the league, no questions asked. Number 2, dang, I keep hitting the wrong button. Number 2, the Baltimore Ravens. This was by far the best team in the regular season, fell short in the playoffs. Again, another team that likes to do that a lot. Granted, they did lose to the eventual Super Bowl champions, so it's all right. But they blew out the 49ers. They blew out the Detroit Lions. I'm sure they would have blown out other teams. They blew out the Houston Texans in the playoffs, and they blew out the Seattle Seahawks. They blew out the Miami Dolphins. They are killing teams left and right. This team is definitely one of the best teams in the NFL from this season. I know they didn't perform well in the AFC Championship game, but they have one bad game at the worst time possible. I still think they are a top 3 team in the NFL. And number 1, of course, I know we all hate it, but the Kansas City Chiefs, yet again, are Super Bowl champions. It's wrong to put them anywhere else on this list besides number 1. They are the best team in the NFL. As long as they make the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes is going to do his thing. He knows exactly what he's doing. Him and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce are way too good at this. And somebody needs to stop. Somebody needs to stop them. And you know who it's going to be? It's going to be none other than the Detroit Lions. We're coming for him. We stopped. Jared Goff is undefeated against Patrick Mahomes, guys. He is our only hope at stopping the Kansas City Chiefs from doing a three-peat. So this was a fantastic NFL season. Thank you to all of my friends that are watching the stream. Thank you to all the new people that are here. You might as well subscribe if you watched all the way here. I appreciate the time you took to watch me. I don't know why you did that, but yeah, thank you. Thank you for a great season. I enjoy every football season. Next year, I just hope it's somebody that's not the Chiefs. Please, somebody not the Chiefs. Make it entertaining at least. Great season, and I will see you all next year. Have a good, I'll still be uploading on the YouTube. Don't worry. Go check out my new videos, please. Please, please. There'll be some coming. Plus, Chiefs won, so I got to get pelted with eggs. That's going to be fun. That's probably going to be happening this weekend. I will see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all later. Bye. Today, I'm going to be telling you exactly what's going to happen in Super Bowl 58. I'll let you guys in on